What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Bulls Report. My name is Patrick Siepman, and a pretty interesting show we're going to be diving into today as LaVar Ball had some interesting comments about the NBA conditioning program affecting Lonzo and LaMelo Ball's injury, and he also said raggedy shoes were a big reason why they got injured as well. So pretty interesting show on tap for you guys today, and let's just dive right into what LaVar Ball said here. So he was in an interview, and they were just asking him, what do they think the main reason is for his sons getting hurt? And he said, the reason they are hurt is because they got away from me. And they start doing these rooty-toot workouts because if you keep running them hills, you're going to keep that power and that strength. But you start dealing with these rubber bands and doing this lightweight stuff, and of course you are going to start breaking down. Carried on to say, a lot of things have to do with them. Raggedy shoes that Melo be wearing. Them shoes are not made the right way for him. That's why he keeps tweaking his ankle every time. And I actually agree with LaVar Ball here. We've seen injuries skyrocket in the NBA over the last couple of years, and I think it's just a shift of the NBA weight training program. They're getting away from the more typical kind of old-fashioned heavy lifting, and it's a lot more plyometrics and a lot more kind of, take the TB12 method. Shout out Tom Brady for this. That's kind of what the NBA has kind of shifted to in their weight training and conditioning program. But that has led to a ton of injuries across the NBA, and overall, the NBA has gotten fragile. I mean, we've even seen it this year with our own Chicago Bulls, with Zach LaVine going down. Lonzo Ball dealing with all these injuries. There is definitely a problem in the National Basketball Association, and it just became fragile. And I do want to make this point across, just all across the NBA, frankly, is we have seen constantly over the last 5 or so years these big-name superstars go down the injury. And, I'm not saying it's fully because of the conditioning and weight training program in the NBA, but LaVar Ball has been pretty tapped in, obviously with his son's development and his son's injury history. And if he is seeing that being the reason why, I just kind of tend to agree with him. But he carried on to say this around Lonzo Ball's injury. He says, they've been trained hard enough? Question? No. Because you condition your body for running and jumping. You've got to condition your legs. So that's why I always have my boys in them hills and running hard in them hills. That will make you run like a deer when you get on that court, so you won't be getting hurt. And overall, man, no matter what happens with this whole Lonzo Ball thing, I just wish the best for him because, just as a person who played basketball growing up and who's been in competitive sports my whole life, just the competitive side of me just feels for a guy like Lonzo Ball. But back to what LaVar was saying, I really do believe that, if Lonzo, is able to come back from this fully and he's able to fully recover from this knee surgery that he's been dealing with for the last 2.5 years, I would almost want Lonzo to be back with LaVar training because Lonzo, since he's gotten to the Bulls, he has played 35 games. And then he's missed the next 2.5 seasons. So maybe it's, maybe LaVar has a point. Lonzo needs to get back to running them hills and going all out in that regard. And maybe you'll end up working out for the former UCLA point guard. But we did get an injury update from Casey Johnson about a week ago that I want to share with you guys. As he says, there's growing buzz from some who talk to Ball that he'll play next season. Also, as stated in the last answer, that optimism needs to be measured against the fact that he hasn't started taking contact or playing 5-on-5. But everyone associated with the Bulls is rooting for Ball. And the Bulls have to give him one more chance unless they trade him. And there was little interest in his contract when it was included in some preliminary talks leading up to the trade deadline, mostly as part as a larger packages. And listen, guys, the Bulls are the biggest joke in the NBA. I mean, if they would ever trade Lonzo Ball, I would absolutely be furious because, if this were, come to fruition where, Lonzo Ball is fully back next season and it's game 1 and he's ready to suit it up for the red and white, and then you just end up trading him, it would just be a waste of time because then what are you doing for the last 2.5 years? Because in the Bulls front office mindset, they think Lonzo Ball is this missing piece to this core, and if he comes back, the Bulls can be one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference, and that's why they didn't trade anybody at the past 2 NBA trade deadlines. So if you were to trade him now, once he's coming back fully healthy, it just really wouldn't make sense to me. But I want to get to this. I want to show Lonzo Ball some love on today's show. just show your support any way you can for the absolute dog of a player that he is. So show him some love on today's show. Drop a like on today's video. Maybe him or maybe even LaVar is coming across this and they want to show the support that Bulls fans showed to him. So drop a like on today's video. But coming up next here, did the Bulls just clinch the worst possible outcome for this season? I'll dive into that here in a second. But first, I want to give a big time shout out to Factor. If you guys head to factormeals.com/BullsChat50, we will hook you guys up with 50% off. What is Factor Meals? They are 2-minute meals that help you fuel up fast, and they are restaurant quality meals that are ready to heat and eat wherever you are. Pancakes, smoothies, and more. Discover a wide variety of easy options for the entire day, like breakfast, midday bites, and more. No prep, no mess meals. Factor meals are ready to heat and eat, so there's no prepping, cooking, or cleanup needed. It's flexible for your schedule. Get as much or as little as you need by choosing your meals every week. Plus, you can pause or reschedule your deliveries at any time. Factor is the perfect solution if you're looking for fast, premium options with no cooking required. Sign up and save today. We have done the math. Factor is less expensive than takeout, and every meal is dietitian approved to be nutritious and delicious. One more time, head to factormeals.com/BullsChat50 and use code BullsChat50 to get 50% off. That's code BullsChat50 at factormeals.com/BullsChat50 to get 50% off. All right, let's clap it up to the Chicago Bulls as they clinched a spot in the play-in tournament for this upcoming season. And I think that was the worst possible outcome for this team heading into the year. If you told me before the season started, the Bulls would be 4 games below 500, not trade anybody at the deadline, and they are going to clinch a spot in the play-in tournament for either the 9th or the 10th seed, I would say that was the worst possible outcome for the year. And it turns out that just happened. But I do want to kick it to Elias Schuster. Does a great job talking about the Chicago Bulls as a beat writer for the team. And he had this to say about the Bulls clinching a spot. He says, the NBA play-in tournament is built for 2 types of teams. The first is the legitimate playoff threat that got a late start. These are the teams that either suffered injury trouble early or made significant midseason additions and still deserve a chance at the postseason. He took the Miami Heat and Los Angeles Lakers, both represented that sort of squad in 2023. But he also said this: the second is the young and fun team. We're talking about the Memphis Grizzlies in 2021, the New Orleans Pelicans in 2022. Did we know these rosters were destined for short playoff runs? Sure. But the play-in tournament provided those promising teams a taste of postseason experiments and thrust some emerging superstars under a national spotlight. So, again, the Bulls are the biggest joke in the NBA because are they a contending team that got off to a late start and now just needs a play-in tournament to make the playoffs and be a legitimate threat? Hell no. Are they a young and up-and-coming team that has some bona fide superstars that could use some playoff experience? No. And it gets me to this. What do us as Bulls fans have to look forward to right now? Like, legitimately, ask yourself this. What are you looking forward to over the short future for the Chicago Bulls over the next 5 seasons? Because I can't think of one thing on the top of my head. And I hate being this negative because I want to be positive about this basketball team. I'm normally positive about my sports teams because I just think, only one team wins a championship every year, and I just rather choose to be positive about them. But Chicago deserves better. It's one of the best basketball hubs in the entire country. And the Bulls, I'm going to say this. They have made one good decision in their entire franchise, tenure. And that was drafting Michael Jordan. And he got them 6 rings. And they have been resting on their on Jordan's accomplishments for the last 20 seasons. They have been the biggest joke of an NBA franchise, or honestly a biggest joke in all of sports over the last 20 years. And they just continue to be mediocre and continue to lie to their fans, and it's just disappointing. But I will say this. The only positive I can take out of this entire season is Kobe White and Ayo Dosunmu legitimately look like the backcourt of the future. I think their games complement each other very well. Kobe White being more offensive-minded and Ayo being more defensive-minded. So I think those two, they're going to work out. But again, that's the biggest positive of the year is Kobe White and Ayo Dosunmu just taking one step up. I don't know. It just really seems like to me that this was the worst possible outcome for the Bulls season, but maybe you guys disagree with me. Maybe you're a whole lot more positive than I am. Let me know. Was this the worst possible outcome for the Bulls season? Give me a Y for yes or give me an N for no down below. And if we get any more updates around this Bulls team, injury news around Lonzo Ball, whatever it may be, we'll have a video for you guys ASAP. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, lock us in, and as always, go Bulls.